How you guys been?
I'm all right, man. It's been I can't really say that it's been a crazy week or a crazy off season for CLG because not a whole lot happened, but I've been good. Japan was amazing. How about you?
Japan was great.
Yeah,
I love Japan.
it's fantastic.
And we actually have someone else joining us today. Say hello.
Yeah, so I'm Freddy. I'm going to be filling in from now on as kind of a co-host. Assuming time zones work, obviously you can hear I'm British, kind of going to bring that perspective to it. And I'm looking forward to kind of seeing where CLG go. Hopefully it'll be better than this off-season because it's been, in a word, depressing.
Just a little.
And yeah, so looking forward to kind of being with these guys over the next few weeks and hopefully having some wins to talk about.
I mean, if all else fails, we'll just talk about the World Cup.
Yeah, it's a good fallback.
Especially for you Brits.
I have no idea. Like, I don't watch football, soccer at all, and
just know that every group stage, they know not to get excited, and then they get excited, and then they cry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've kind of been, once bitten, never shy in Britain. Every year is our year.
Oh, okay. That works then. So it's the same as Italy. Oh, wait. The one thing I know about the World Cup this year.
All right, let's just go right into league.
Sure.
Yeah, so actually some changes to our roster. So Omar God is out, and Wiggly is our new academy jungler.
Yeah. And I honestly think that's a really exciting pickup. I think Wiggly's really good. I think you could see, at least within CLG, Omar had plateaued. And I think the fact that nobody else has picked him up kind of speaks to that. So I think for me, Wiggly is a really exciting pickup, especially with kind of Rainover. Although he improved towards the end of last split, still looking kind of shaky. So I think having a better possible replacement for him is really, really big.
Yeah, it seems like Omar is potentially going back to school. It seems like he hasn't played any games recently, and the fact that he's not been picked up by anyone, considering he was pretty good near the end of Academy, and there were definitely some teams that need new junglers, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but I think if you look at how he played on CLG, you kind of see him, at least, in my opinion, reaching quite an obvious plateau. Although he was performing at quite a strong level, if as a team you're looking at kind of bringing up a rookie jungler and taking them to an LCS level, I'm not sure Omar is that kind of prospect for you anymore.
Okay, fair. We also have a new coach for the academy team.
Yeah, who I know nothing about.
Yeah.
So
I got nothing. Alright.
It got announced, and I was like, "Oh, cool, ex-Sojin."
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe he was on TSM's academy team.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Wait, as a
fun
player?
Kind of, yeah, as a player.
Oh.
I think he was on TSM Darkness. I'd have to check. But I believe I recognize
like
the name.
TSM Dark,
Oh.
like old.
Oh no, so I wanna say like fairly long ago, like not very, very recently.
Okay.
So not like last split.
So speaking of TSM, we are playing TSM and 100 Thieves in our first week of LCS. So it starts off with 100 Thieves for us, and then Team Solo mid, and then our Academy teams are obviously going to be reversed, so we'll play TSM Academy first. How do you guys think we'll do?
Toss
What do
up.
you guys want to start with? The academy or the LCS?
Let's start Academy first.
I think it could be a toss-up either way. I don't know if TSM's academy has changed much, if at all. Like, from my time viewing the League of Legends subreddit, not many teams seem to have made like a ton of changes. And from what I can see, like almost no academy teams had a change announced. So unless something crazy happens, which I think is impossible, I think rosters are locked in right now. Yeah, I don't know. It could be.
Yep.
I'd say a coin flip.
Yeah, so neither of these teams were playoff teams last year.
Yeah.
We were actually, out of these three, the most competitive, and I think with Wiggly, if we're going to be a top academy team, these should really be games we're looking to look dominant in,
Definitely got to come out of the gate swinging.
I think 100 Thieves, having Levi from the beginning of this split, being able to play him, maybe look stronger, because obviously they had issues with him, visa issues, whatever it was, last split. So I think maybe you see them come out swinging, kind of, and put us in the ground. But I think ideally, given this on-paper upgrade, given that Wiggly was a strong jungler, given that we've shown the faith in the rest of this team, you're really looking for us to come out strong.
Well, speaking of Levi, we go up against 100 Thieves in our first game. What do you think at some point they'll bring in Levi for Meteos? Maybe later in the split?
So I personally don't believe so, just because I don't think they bench one of their imports. I don't see it happening, really.
Oh yeah, Someday and Ryu, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, I think on his own, Levi makes sense, but just in the context of having to make changes.
I don't think you bench Someday, which leaves Ryu, and you need a strong NA mid laner.
Mm.
So how do you think we'll do against 100 Thieves then?
I would say we're probably going to do well, but 100 Thieves they just haven't changed. And being such a dominating team as they were last split, unless we've got some crazy new chemistry or something like that, I don't see us beating 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think if you look at our team and you look at how we ended last split,
we've
shown faith in exactly the same roster. We were on the up, right? But I think even then, it was only 2 or 3 games we looked genuinely strong in. A lot of those wins were teams throwing into us, were kind of, close victories. So I think having only had 2 or 3 strong victories last split, if we're going to make a case that we should have shown faith in this roster, that keeping all of these players in the same configuration with the same staff was a good idea, we need to really come out strong against 100 Thieves.
Yep.
I agree. And that momentum needs to carry over into the game against TSM. TSM, with their roster on paper, should be one of the strongest rosters in NA. We also saw just the general difference between Echo Fox and how much they just destroyed Clutch, and how close Team Liquid versus Echo Fox was, and how not close Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves was. There's a pretty big skill disparity.
Yeah, so I think going into this split, we should probably be expecting playoffs, but not much more. And I think realistically, as much as I love these players, I want to believe in them. I want to see them do well. I think the most likely result is an 0-2 first week. I think we have the ability to turn those games round, especially against 100 Thieves, who I think everybody knows looked a bit shaky towards the end of the last split. Maybe weren't a top 2 team, but I still think this roster needs to prove to me and prove to the rest of the fans that they are worth keeping and worth showing that faith in.
That's fair. I think let's just take the predictions then. What do you think? Give me game scores.
I'm gonna say we'll go 1-1. I don't know who we'll beat. We'll either take TSM down, or we're gonna get motorboated by TSM. That's the only thing that really happens against TSM. Is we either completely crush them because they don't care or aren't playing very well, or they crush us. There's no wow, this is a really close game for 40 minutes of, TSM versus CLG. It doesn't happen anymore, especially with the meta and how short games can be.
I mean, I think traditionally you've seen quite a lot of thrown leads from CLG into TSM. I mean, for me, I think it's definitely going to be a loss.
It's basically our history.
To TSM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me, it definitely should be a loss to TSM. For 100 Thieves, as I wanna say 1-1, but at the same time, I just looking at how these teams played last split, how much kind of 100 Thieves improved and kind of looked so strong towards the end. Even if they weren't a top 2 team, they were certainly better than us. My heart says 1-1, but I think my brain and my gut definitely say 0-2.
All right, so I'm gonna put you 0-2. I think I'm going 1-1. I think with our improvements, assuming that everything is cohesive enough, I'm just gonna say 1-1. I think the meta is wacky enough that who the fuck knows.
We could pull out that Mord ADC. That's apparently meta.
Yeah, against Vladimir or some other stupid shit with the meta right now. Dude, I don't even know.
I mean, I think with the quality of our coaching staff, there is a chance that kind of, this up and down meta, this just total mystery that we have in regards to what's going to get picked could really help us.
I think
you saw today in China, somebody picked the Mordekaiser mid support with the Graves taking all the farm from the jungle.
Dude,
as he built the warding item, which is crazy.
I think that I think Ziggs works best when he has a meta that's stable and he can develop over time.
He can work it out.
We've seen in the metas where they're just completely weird. He doesn't quite do so well. Yeah.
Like
whereas
mid-season.
We get cheesed a lot too and we lose. Whereas whenever you look at the Ziggs masterclass where he just completely outdrafts an opponent, you think back to some of the games we played at Worlds or something like that where or our game against TSM where if you remember it was the Stixay pick with Caitlyn, and that very last game they even showcased like what the picks were, what the bans would be, how the draft would go. When he has time to prepare and he really knows the opponent, he really knows the meta, that's when we play the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's being able to think about the meta for like 4 or 5 games and just be like, okay, I know what our teams are going to be able to play, what they're going to draft, let's outdraft them. But last split we saw where the meta basically went head over heels completely different by one patch, like midway through.
I'm so glad Riot has a great stable meta right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, so what I would say is I don't think the meta was really anywhere near kind of the top few issues with this team last split.
No, we had a lot of issues with coordination, just executing plays, right? When we go through, sometimes you could see bits and pieces of a plan, and then it would just fall apart, or Rainover would be super aggressive and die, or just, like, everyone would just take turns doing something wrong.
Yeah. So I think for me, what I'm really looking for this split, in terms of a player to watch, and I think, everybody would agree probably, is Huhi. Right, because you saw Darshan have a strong beginning to the split, and kind of, although he was inconsistent, have those shining moments. Rainover obviously got better towards the end of the split, had some real standout performances. Biofrost was a rock all split. Stixay started out badly and then kind of improved. Huhi, for me, even in our victories, was more of a role player, and still, managed to lose lane to high, managed to have these awful lowlights. And I think for me, if we're going to be competing, he needs to really step up.
Yep. And we need to see him in his top form like we have in the past. If Huhi pops off, it means that Rainover doesn't have to worry about the mid lane. And I mean, I think we've talked about this so many times where if the jungler of CLG doesn't have to worry about Huhi, he can focus on getting another lane ahead. And that's a big part of CLG.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the big thing is not just one player for me, it's the Reyna or Huhi duo. Mid jungle, just essentially how well do they play? Because if they can execute well together, I think that opens up a lot of possibilities for CLG. Yeah. I mean, we've beaten the Huhi situation to death. At his best, he can definitely compete. At his worst, it's just I don't know what's going on. So it's which Huhi are we going to get? And
so I think
which Rainover are we going to get?
I think for me, looking at Huhi and looking at this kind of dichotomy where, like, he can be... Basically, it's whether he is going to be a facilitator, which you saw with his Asol, you see with his bot lane roams, or whether he's going to need to be facilitated by Rainover. Right? You want him not using resources, you want him forcing the enemy team to assign their resources to where he's going. Yep. Whereas the whole of last split, he was only being a drag. He was only kind of needing the rest of CLG to prop him up.
Yep, so we'll see how it goes. I'm personally, again, I think we all are. We're hoping for just a very strong showing by CLG.
100%.
Yep.
Let's
go CLG.
So, let's move on.
Sure.
So CSGO, we actually have good news and bad news.
Wait, what's the good news?
Start bad news first. So Bad news is Ricky is actually departing from CLG.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little sad to see. I mean, he did, I think, a twit longer post about, it wasn't anything about the organization. It was just that he...
Next chapter of his life.
Yeah, he enjoyed doing CSGO stuff, and now that that's not around anymore, he just was like, let's move on with my life and see what I can get up to.
Yeah, so he didn't explicitly say anything about the org, but he, and maybe it isn't important, but he did name drop as the two people that got him into the org and kind of got him invested, Mylixia, Devin, and Julia. Artsy Foxy, I think, which I think, given that he clearly felt those are the two people that brought him into the org, kind of made him feel welcome, I think we are kind of, seeing maybe the end of that kind of changing of the guard, almost.
Makes sense. So
I think it is, if that did go into it, that's sad. But I'm sure he'll find
when
success
we
elsewhere.
interviewed him, he spoke to us quite a bit. He talked about how I think it was because of Miss Harvey, he actually got into CLG, and then he also talked quite a bit of just how much he loved CS:GO. CS:GO was his passion. So I think it's pretty 100%. Tough if your passion is not what you're working on, maybe he gets us a chance to work with, I don't know, SK or Fnatic or Cloud9 or whatever have you.
I mean, he should.
Do CSGO.
He's immensely
Can't blame
talented.
him.
I mean, I think if you look at the content he was producing for the org, that is the best content we've ever produced. That CSGO content, in my opinion.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
It was.
And I maybe this isn't that well known, but there was a final video for the CSGO team from their LAN, their Toronto LAN, that never got released. It was meant to be 40 minutes long. A glorious send-off. So, and I'm sad we never saw that, because I'm sure with Ricky's talents it would have been really great. Yep. And I hope that wherever he goes next, he's kind of able to apply that same creativity and that same kind of passion.
Absolutely.
Yep. Best of luck.
The good news is Miss Harvey's back.
I see. Yeah, that was pretty cool to hear. Like, Miss Harvey gone for about a year, I guess, just under. And now she's back. And
then back to bad news. So CSGO did play in the ESA Advance. Do you want to talk more about that, Freddy, just quickly?
Yeah, so obviously there was quite a lot of drama going into it that I think you guys didn't cover, right, because you didn't have any podcasts in that time, but there was a lot of kind of discussion about whether CLG.Red had only been invited because of the brand, because they were women. And in the first week they looked strong. They went 1-0 against one of the teams that people were kind of saying were better than them, which looked really good. At the moment they're 2-3, which could definitely be worse given how bottom tier people were saying they were. So I think we can be proud of the girls for that, but at the same time, with Stephanie, with Miss Harvey back, I think, you should be looking for a stronger showing from this team. And I hope that's what we'll get.
Gotcha. So my understanding was that they applied and they got in. They don't have any particular reason why they got in. They just applied and they got in. And
no, absolutely, yeah.
There's a lot of drama from other people trying to come up with some reason why.
I mean, it's the kind of, it's the typical kind of, esports drama. I think, people are always looking for reasons why they've been hard done by, and I think, unfortunately, the girls were kind of singled out in that way.
Yeah, I mean, without going too much into it, I mean, it's probably just a factor, a lot of things.
Yeah,
it's the brand.
No, it's just unfortunate.
Marketing and all that stuff.
They have a brand, they have a team, they have an organization behind them. I think, they're clearly talented enough to make it. I think maybe Miss Harvey coming back, obviously as the face of the team, could have gone into that too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's a business. You want to get those eyeballs, you need those advertisers, so...
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, moving on to Smash. All right. We got some good stuff with Smash.
Heck yeah.
So why don't you start off, Archon?
All right, sure. So looks like we start off with some Melee here, and it was SmashNSplash, which is... It's the fourth event, it's one of those ones that we've covered before, like pretty much a year ago. And both SFAT and Pew Pew were there as well, playing in doubles. SFAT, though, did not have such a great tournament. He beat King Momo, but then lost to Zane, meaning he falls into the loser's bracket. It looks like it cuts off right there, so I'm assuming he lost in losers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That sucks. Not sure what placing he got, though.
Oh, you'll find out in just a second.
Oh, I see. Pew Pew U, though, also had a bad tournament. He lost to Hugs and fallen to losers. Ah, I see. And then he made a decent run in the losers bracket before coming up against SFAT. What a terrible... It always sucks when the brackets end up having like Pew Pew U and SFAT
you don't want that team kill
in the loser round. Like,
you commented on this on the subreddit. I remember explicitly seeing your comment on this too. You're like, not like this.
Yeah, it's pretty shit. And so, yeah, Pew Pew U ended up beating SFAT 3-2. He makes it to the losers round 8 and loses to S2J 3-1. SFAT
I think top 8
what's that?
is really good. I think top 8 is a really strong showing for Kevin.
Yeah, especially for Pew Pew U. Just like he hasn't had like some of the best showings as of late. So it's good to see him, placing in top 8 at a big event like SmashNSplash.
Yeah, beating SFAT's actually pretty big too.
Yeah, it usually seems to come down to when it is SFAT versus Pew Pew U. SFAT is generally the guy who takes it, so it was good to see.
But for SFAT, he finishes the summer between 13-15, so not a good showing for him.
No.
PewFat, on the other hand.
Oh, of course. Like, how else does it go down for PewFat? Well, I mean, you can just guess when PewFat is at a bracket or a doubles. Like, I mean, you expect first or second. There's no question about that. Yeah,
so they smashed their pool, and then the next 2 rounds, and then the first big challenge that they had was against Mango and Mewtwo King, and they actually lost this 3-2. It was a pretty close series. Following that, they go up against Wizrobe and Swedish Delight in the losers bracket, and they must have been pretty damn angry to lose that because they came out of the gate hard, won 3-0. Following that, they're into the losers finals. They go up against Shroomed and S2J, and pretty close match, but they come out with the win 3-2. Following that, they get a chance for some revenge against Mango and Mewtwo King, and this time, man, did they really want that revenge? They got the 3-0. Last but not least, it was Amada and Android. It was a really tough 3-2 victory for match 1, but for match 2, they turned it up. They got 3-0 and a solid first place victory. So, congrats to PewFat.
Yeah, absolutely. Good playing by them. It's good to see that even though they don't have like an amazing bracket run in like singles, they still like just pull it out for doubles.
Yeah, they can always turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Freddy, why don't you tell us about Smash 4?
So actually, the same event, SmashNSplash 4, we had VoiD competing, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been in a few finals recently. Looked like for a few months, for even half a year, maybe even a year, that he's going to take one of these tournaments. He's going to finally make it. And this event turned out to be the one. He had a really strong run through pools, and then goes up against Mistake, obviously a Bayo player. He's had real issues with that character before. It's been kind of somewhat of an obstacle for him. So he 3-0's Mistake, which is already crazy. 3-1's Dabuz. He's looking so strong. And then in top 8, he goes against Salem, right? And we've seen in the past, in finals, in other rounds, wherever he is, he'll always lose to Salem. He's found it really difficult to beat this guy, and he 3-2's him, which, is close to what we would have wanted. But he does go into those grand finals, and from the winner's side, which for VoiD is already huge, right? This is already one of his best runs in months. And Salem makes it through losers. They go up against each other again, and VoiD 3-1's him. He just looks so strong the entire event. People memed about his up smashes, how invigorated he looked, how kind of fresh his game looked. And I think we're kind of seeing all that potential VoiD looked like he brought out at this tournament. And that's his first major, which is... for VoiD and the CLG brand, all of us, is like so fucking huge.
It's fantastic.
Seeing it talked about in like, even in just the CLG subreddit itself, having it like be near the top, not only opens up VoiD as a player to a lot of the org, because like Smash doesn't get, and especially Smash 4, doesn't get nearly as much attention as League of Legends. And so the fact that like so many people are commenting on it, and that I'd seen it outside of the CLG subreddit, like people congratulating VoiD for the win, was awesome.
Yeah, the Smash Bros subreddit was congratulating.
Yeah. they went pretty ham because they.
Well, I mean, because I think VoiD is a great competitor, and everybody's seen him kind of get so close so many times. And when it's somebody like that, you want to see him win. And so I think you had a lot of Smash fans there with us that they were happy too.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, to take away from our happiness a little bit, I'm just gonna bring up Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh no.
Rip.
Oh,
Rip Rainbow Six.
Rip Rainbow Six. I think, were you guys here for CLG COD at all?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
We weren't
So
doing
I
the
think,
podcast for CLG COD, but
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably quite a lot of you because of how the team was handled, we bought a Call of Duty team. They got relegated in their first season, pretty close, and then we didn't even get an announcement. The team just dropped off the map.
Yeah,
all the contracts were sold. It was unclear what the fuck was happening. No one really knew. And the second this Rainbow Six team got relegated, my brain went there. My brain was like, we are not going to keep going with this team. And I heard, I think we've all probably heard if you've looked into it, there were ego issues on that team, practice issues. There was a lot going wrong that kind of made it not practical for the org to stay with the team. And I think it's really unfortunate.
So you can't blame the org, though, for providing resources to the players, and if the players don't perform,
no,
that's on them.
Especially with Rainbow Six Siege, on paper, they had probably the top team in the Rainbow Six Pro League. Like, these guys should have been dominating.
Top 3 for sure.
Yeah,
definitely top 3.
As Freddy said, apparently in the back and even on comms, the egos were kind of just getting to them. These guys knew that they were top players and that they should be just absolutely crushing it.
Yeah.
But apparently they just couldn't leave that at the door when it came to competing.
Yeah, and I think, we're going to get onto this later, probably with Rocket League, but I think it's become so trendy, amongst CLG fans to attack everything the org does, right? And see everything as a bad business move, as some kind of betrayal of the culture. And I think this is, for me, the epitome of what we should be doing, picking up teams that are proven. This was not a bargain bin team. This was not kind of an unproven team of rejects. This was a team that should have done well, and the org has been burnt for that, which I think is really unfortunate because it was one of the first times in years that a pickup has felt really, really, really good.
And I can't remember if it's Rainbow Six or Rocket League. One of them is getting franchised. And the
it's Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six, yeah. So the team being relegated and getting out of Rainbow Six at this time is pretty much the worst possible time to get out.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
if we'd stayed on, we could have got into that league. All they had to do was not get relegated.
Exactly,
which is just ridiculous.
And when you pick up a strong roster, you give them the resources to perform. You give them the coaching staff, and you're getting quality players.
Yeah.
It feels awful.
It does.
Yeah.
So
I think especially when the baseline is avoiding relegation, that's all you need to do. It's not like they're expecting a victory. I mean, obviously that would have been nice, and the expected performance was a lot higher than avoiding relegation. But if that's the baseline, to not even make that is so upsetting.
Pretty much. So, moving on to Smite, unless anyone's got any final thoughts on Rainbow Six?
Nope. They're gone.
So...
I think that's the final thoughts anyone will have on CLG Rainbow Six.
Yep.
Yeah. So, moving on to Smite. So, in the spring season, we ended up finishing in 3rd place, behind Space Station Gaming and E United, and ahead of Trifecta, Luminosity Gaming, and Splice. So we had a 13-11 match record or game record with a 6-4 match record.
Wow, Splice went 1-9. Holy crap.
Yep. So we move on into the summer season. The first week we played up against Space Station Gaming and got wrecked 2-0. And then we went up against E United in the second week and lost that 2-1.
Yeah, so in the first week as well there was a game against Trifecta, who obviously finished below us.
I missed that.
In the spring season. And I think in the first 2 weeks we've lost 0-3 against the 3 teams around us, right? And given that only 2 teams qualified for playoffs and that 6-4 wasn't enough last time, that's already 3 of those 4 losses.
Yep.
So I think in terms of a start to the season, this is kind of beyond terrible. This is the worst possible start, the worst possible schedule we could have had.
Yeah, you're relying on the top teams to collapse midway through.
Yeah.
And there's
Start
not that
splitting
many
games.
weeks left. And it's just only 6 teams, double round robin. You already played 2 teams. And you look at the last season, right? United went 6-4, COG went 6-4, but they had a better match record at 13-9 versus our 13-11. So every game counts.
It really does.
Yeah. And 2-6 to only take 2 games out of those 3 is really bad. Like, what can you say, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a shame because we came into Smite stringing strong and had really high expectations.
Well, again, it was meant to be a good team. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't one of those kind of bargain bin cheap CLG. People deride the esport itself, which I have some sympathy with. It's not the kind of pickup you want to maybe see as a CLG fan.
Sure.
But I think in terms of the team itself, that was a quality pickup. And I think once again, you're seeing the all get burned for trying to provide infrastructure to a group of quality players.
Yep.
At least so far.
Yep. It's unfortunate because it keeps happening.
Yeah.
But H1Z1.
And you've got to
Same
assume,
story.
Troy, just quickly that
Sure.
that the org are eventually gonna kind of go, well, fuck. Like we've tried. We did our best with Rocket League, with Rainbow Six, with Smite. We put the money and we picked up decent players. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, and then people are asking the org to go get into Overwatch, go get back into
Yeah.
CS:GO. At least with CS:GO, unless you have a top team, you're not making money.
Yep.
Overwatch is incredibly expensive to get into, and
Yeah.
Dota isn't. Unless you have a top team, it's not very sustainable.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, and these little franchise leagues were meant to be the money makers, right? And we can't even seem to stay in those.
Right, because I mean, if you can get into Rainbow Six, you're franchised. You got a solid. It's franchise,
Yeah.
right? So you got a solid chance there to start earning some money. H1Z1 was a new thing that COG picked up. At least Kelsey's back.
Yeah.
his visa.
Well, I mean, he is back. Unfortunately, despite looking
Yeah.
decent with Krennic, we just looked last week with Colsey. I was excited to have him back. I know the CLG Discord, that whole channel was kind of popping off the
Yeah.
second that got announced, but we just shit the bed last week. I think we came 13th, 11th, and 7th in those games. Which, if you're looking to get top 5, obviously isn't ideal with very few kills as well. So it was a really, really bad week, and I think you see kind of that gap it's getting pretty big for only 2 weeks left in this split.
To put into perspective, the first place team got 182 points, and we got 100 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that needs to be said there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the summer split's still to come. So, if we really, really kill it then, you can still make top 3. But there's a 32-point gap between us and top 3. And a week ago, that was much, much lower.
Absolutely. So, not too much to be said there, other than they just have to do extraordinarily well. So, last but not least, Rocket League.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Archon, want to go for it?
Yeah. So looks like we were playing in the Rocket League, Jesus.
Relegations. Oh boy.
Yeah, the relegations. And well, CLG beat Allegiance 4-1, which is pretty cool. Then we went up against FlyQuest and unfortunately lost to FlyQuest 2-4. That means it knocks us down into the losers bracket. And we find Allegiance, who we had just knocked down there the previous game. And they proceed to reverse the score that we gave them, and they beat us 4-1, meaning that CLG does not qualify.
Yeah. And I think, again, it was it was a good group of players.
Yeah.
We put the money, we put the time in. And you just see how fickle investing in kind of esports can be, I think.
Yep.
So, EA just announced Command and Conquer at E3. Think we should go for
sweet.
that instead?
I'll pass.
I mean, at this point, I'm not sure anything can go worse than kind of the Rainbow Six, the Rocket League.
Maybe they'll get into competitive Amazon Alexa Skyrim.
Oh my lord!
Oh god.
I can't download that in the UK yet, which I'm really upset about actually.
Well, don't you realize that according to Amazon and Google, the U.S. is the only country that exists?
Yeah.
Well,
even their great neighbors, me
Yeah.
up here in the north. Wait, sorry, what's Canada?
I mean, any number of kind of distributors would agree with you as well. Nothing exists outside the US.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Well,
do you have something you want to announce
we're
there?
going to end on that very negative note. Actually, yeah, no, you're right. Do have something positive. So we are holding an art contest on the CLG subreddit. Just a fun pre-LCS week art contest. Basically, submit any piece of art, whether it be painting, drawing, hype video, even something handmade. You 3D print something or you do a bit of arts and crafts. Just submit it. We'll do an internal vote with all the mods, and then we'll pick our top 3. And the top 3 will get some sort of custom flair on old Reddit. As for prizing and voting, so we wanted to do an actual bracket and let all the people of our CLG and the Discord channel decide. The problem is we're not quite sure how to do it without making it open to vote manipulation. If we can figure out a good way of doing that, then we would hold it open and potentially have better pricing. For example, I'd like to just get a small prize off the CLG store, but if there's going to be any monetary prize or even say RP or whatever, want it to be fair.
It makes it
and
really
that's our
hard,
concern.
Especially, it's just so easy to manipulate votes online, like for something like this.
Exactly. That's why we figured we'll just do this as a bit of a trial run, and just have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
And I think personally, I've kind of used fan made CLG backgrounds and stuff for years. So I'll be checking the thread too. I think a lot of us kind of appreciate those backgrounds, those kind of pieces of art you guys make.
Absolutely.
I had one for the longest time back in the old double lift days, where they were all like paired up with their like signature champions around the CLG.
Is this Blitzcrank double lift or Vayne double lift?
This Vayne double lift.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've still got that. I've still got the double lift poster on my wall with him as Vayne.
Oh, nice, nice. I have the MSI one that's signed by Matcom.
Oh shit!
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got my CLG #CLG fighting shirt that's signed by Afromoo and everyone else.
Damn, this man's balling out of control.
Right.
So yeah, if you make a piece of art, make sure to get the players to sign it. Or
right before they
he will
leave
not,
the team.
He will not look at it. He just, only sign things. But also, kind of whatever you want to send in. I mean, we've seen there's been art contests before by the actual CLG team. And people have sent in some really cool shit. Kind of like wood cuttings. I think somebody sent a wood cutting at one point. I mean, even if you don't think you're good, just draw something, try having a go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't have to be, world class or anything. Just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And if this turns out to be pretty successful, I want to try to hold more community-based stuff, both in conjunction with the Discord channel and the subreddit. If anyone's got any ideas, you can email us at CLG Faithful. You can send us a tweet. You can also message people on the Discord channel, message the mods there, or message the mods on the subreddit.
Nice.
So with that, I think we've come to the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
It's not
so
too
Arjun,
bad. 40 minutes.
why don't you do our usual send-off?
For sure. This has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. It is a weekly podcast, and we go over all things CLG. If you enjoy what we do, please do take a few minutes to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, or you can give us a ratings on iTunes or Google Play. And we do enjoy getting your feedback. Please send us your thoughts over at clgfaithful@gmail.com, and we will get back to you.
Absolutely. So, if people want to follow you and know more about you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ArtrinTV, or you can find me on Twitch at Artrin.
And what about you, Freddy?
So I don't really use Twitter. You can find me there, but I mostly use Discord. So if you are a CLG fan, I think that's the best place to talk about the team. Nefarious will say it's the sub, definitely the Discord. Come there. I'm there. I'll probably stick out. I have a very pink name, Friendly Freddy.
You also
chat to me. We're a very welcoming community.
You also go and make the CLG Fan TV series, don't you?
Yeah, so we have there's a weekly call-in show that we do via Discord after every CLG game called CLG Fan TV, where people call in, kind of like a hotline league thing, but with hot takes about Logic Gaming. So if that sounds interesting, if the Discord sounds interesting, we run community events too.
Hey, Freddy. I'm tired, Freddy.
Dude, just get involved.
I can't handle any more of this. Zeke's out.
Zeke's out indeed.
So if anyone doesn't know, the original thing is Arsenal Fan TV, and it's really only worth watching when Arsenal gets humiliated. That's the most fun to watch.
You get a lot of angry fans. I've been for ages now. I've been trying to tell my co-host for the CLG Fan TV to get some of the angrier characters from the subreddit in. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
As your cattle.
Just to get them to speak their mind live on broadcast. So if you have angry opinions, if you have things you want to say, get in on that.
Absolutely. And you can follow me. I'm just at Nefarious, NEFAR. It's ZeroUSS on Twitter. And this has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. Thank you very much to Freddy for joining us, and hopefully we'll have more of you in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys.
Peace.
See you guys.